Hi there, Julianne Jones here, and it's time for my answer video for the video Q&A Monday session that I do on the fan page every week. I am digging this new process. It's kind of a cool way for me to be able to answer your questions every week and have a little conversation, a little chat with you, and some connection that's a little bit actually easier for me than typing the answers, and it's growing in popularity. I have 8 questions this week, so I'm going to get through these as quickly as I can. First one's from Tracy Fisher. What are your thoughts on vendor shows? I just did one recently and it went better than anticipated, but I felt a little awkward in greeting potential customers who came by my table. Is there a script that I should use? What do you suggest as a way of getting their contact info for follow-up? And do you recommend any kind of giveaway, such as a raffle? I'd love to do another vendor event and be able to be better prepared and more proactive. So I also had a question. Someone asked a question about information on following up with leads from trade shows. Do you email them right away? What strategy do you use to get them to book a party? Okay, so first of all, with full disclosure here, my friend Deb Bixler is the one who's the queen of trade show training, and I actually got a chance to see her do a training years ago at a DSA live event or DSWA live event, and she did a whole hour-long keynote on how to be successful during vendor shows, and I got some great tips from her, so I always give her credit because a lot of what I share came from her. First of all, you're there to connect and really make a connection with the people that are there. That's the number one thing. And one of the things that Deb says that I love is if you show up for your booth and there's a chair or a couple chairs, in your booth, immediately take those and put them in the booths next to you, because you're never going to be sitting down behind your booth. You're there, you've paid good money. Your job is to be out in front of your booth, greeting people, answering questions, and interacting. Okay, so I'm a big believer in using a question for that. If you can have a question that's really compelling. I was an image consultant years ago, and we used to do vendor booths, and we had a question typed up on a big sign that said, do you have a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear? That question gets people in and interacting, because every woman that walked by would come up and go, oh my gosh, yes, that totally describes me. And that gives you an in to start having a conversation. So think about something within your product opportunity, or like the sign could say, are you working for daycare and taxes? Or are you tired of having too much month at the end of the money? Something like that gets people to be able to relate. Like I said, it can be product driven, it can be sponsoring driven, but that kind of draws them in. And then as you're having conversations with people, you want to ask questions. And I would say, I always felt like my goal at that vendor show was not to sell product. It was to book parties and to share my opportunity. You might want to have a booking tree, and basically that's just a photo holder that you can clip photos in the top, but instead of photos, you actually clip party date cards that have the dates you're available for parties, so that you could actually book someone right away. Maybe give them an instant booking gift that's a couple dollars that they get to choose, right there and then and there. So you get them on your calendar. So bookings would be a really important goal, and also sponsoring. So sharing your opportunity, talking to someone about what is in it for them, how this opportunity could change their life. Remember to ask a lot of questions, and make sure that you're really listening to them, and that you're responding from that, not sort of from a script in your head about how you think it should go. I think that was it. To get their contact information. So I think that raffles are fine as long as you are sort of hand selecting who goes in the raffle. So what I've learned about these vendor shows, being a participant and also just walking around, myself, is people have a tendency to just sign up for everything, because there's all these freebies being offered, and they're not necessarily interested in your product or your opportunity or booking a party, but they come by. I've even seen people with like self-addressed, address label stamps, and they just like sign up for everything. You don't want that, because those aren't quality leads. So to make sure you collect quality leads, what you want to do is have a clipboard with your registration form for your drawing, and then actually stop and as you're talking with them, say, hey, I'd like to enter you in my drawing. Let me get your information. And you write it all down and you put them in the drawing. And what you can even do after they leave is make some notes on the back about what you talked about with them. So that means when it comes time to follow up, and that was what Kathy Skidmore asked about, you have something to follow up about. You can do it over the phone. You can send an email. If you want to follow up with everybody via email that signed up for your raffle, and then call the people that you made specific notes about, that's great. If someone books a party, you're going to be following up with them anyway through host coaching. I think that the biggest piece of this that's important to me is when you collect that lead, make sure that you're doing it in a way that it's a quality lead. So the only way someone's going to get their name in your fishbowl for your drawing is if you have a conversation with them and you're actually entering them yourself. I wouldn't even put a great big sign up for my drawing out front. It's more of a private, personal kind of thing, because all those people are going to be quality leads and interested. Okay. And as far as how do you get them to book, Kathy, I don't really ever make a phone call with a strategy like I'm going to get this person to book. Really, it's more what can I do to support this person? And if you're following up with somebody and you've had a conversation during the trade show and you're able to say, hey, when we met at the trade show, remember, this is what you said to me, and because you've made a note on the back of their card, it's easy to do that. That you're super busy or that you haven't had a girls' night out in quite a while. I'd love to come and spoil you and provide that for you. So it's really more about really offering them something of value when you do follow up. And I'm a big believer in phone calls. I know that they're time consuming and I know that no one likes to make them, but there's something about that phone conversation that's a lot more personal. So a couple great questions about trade shows. Thank you, ladies. Sarah McIsaac, I would like to get your thoughts on having a host confirm a date, especially if they're rebooking for the next season. I do a lot of my bookings outside of parties. The other thing is that when they need to reschedule, getting that rescheduled date on the calendar right away. I get people all the time who want to have a party, but getting them to pick a date is tough. I'll say that I have confirmed many of my wishy-washy potential hosts already, and I have dates booked out for March, April, May, and June, so that's exciting. So it's starting to turn around. Okay, so a couple things about that question, Sarah. First of all, I did all my blog posts for April yesterday, and I have one coming out in April that talks about how to get that person to book that date, no matter what. In fact, it's a video blog post, so make sure that you watch for that. But essentially, it's your job to get that date on the calendar before they hang up the phone if you're doing a call with them, or before they walk out the door if you're at a live party. And the best way to do that is to use something like this for language. So I would say, hey, Sarah, she says, yes, I'd like to book. Great. Which date would you like to book? And usually they say something like, well, I'm not really sure. I need to go check with all my friends and see, if they can all make it, which, as you know, is crazy because everybody's busy. You pick a date. If they can make it, great. If they can't, get an outside order. I got to check with my husband. So what I always said was, that's not a problem. I want to go ahead and get you on my calendar, though, for April. So let's go ahead and, again, pick a date. And then if you get home and you realize that you forgot something that was on your calendar, which, by the way, doesn't happen that often anymore because most people's calendar is right in their cell phone, right? So they can look right at it. But anyway, if you get home and you realize that you forgot something, just give me a call and I'll be happy to reschedule that for you. Not a problem. So now they've picked a date, they're on your calendar, and if they want to change that, they have to call you. So you're not chasing them down. So that's a really important distinction. I also would be really leery about booking out. You say you're booked out through June. That's a big red flag for me. And here's the reason. If you have someone booked in May or June, and we're at the middle of March right now, by the time you pop back up in their life in May or June, they could very easily have changed their mind. So if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that you host coach them and that you get their list and postage within about a week of them saying yes. And even if they say, well, my party's not till June, how come I have to do this now? You tell them, it's because I want to make sure that we are on the same page, that we get this done while it's still top of mind for you. And then I'll have your list and postage so I can just send your invitations for you. And then we'll reconnect when we get a couple weeks out from your party. That's a rule that I held. If someone was like, I don't want to do that, forget it, then I would say, I'll tell you what, how about if I give you a call in June and we'll pick a date and make it work then. You can put them on your calendar if you want, but chances are good those parties are not going to be as strong as far as holding as ones that you book 30 to 45 days out. Okay, so at the furthest I would be booking through the end of April right now. Okay, so and like I said, if you do book further out, make sure you get that host coaching on the calendar and you get their list and postage. And what I would tell them is the list and postage is what conserves the date for you, is what holds the date for you. So basically, once I have your list and postage, you own that date. But until I have that, it's still up for grabs. And that's sometimes a way to get them to get on board with that. Thank you. Ricky Peterson. I use the good old phone calls and email monthly newsletters. I'm struggling. Sorry, I got to get my glasses back on here. There we go. I'm struggling to get parties from parties. What are some ways that we can look to book parties? And I, of course, use social media, but what would really love to get enough parties booked not have to do this. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big believer in that, Ricky. It's Ricky Peterson. I believe really strongly that you want to book parties from your parties. It's the best place to get bookings. People are there. They're having a great time. They're in the experience. They're excited. It's much harder to do creative bookings, and those are bookings where you have to get on the phone or, on social media. I'm not a big fan of getting on your wall on Facebook and saying, hey, anybody want to book a party? I think that turns people off. If you can do it in an organic way, that's fine. If someone, if you're like, hey, we have this beautiful new catalog. Anybody who books a party in the next, half hour, I'm going to give you something great for free. You can do that once in a while, but I would be very careful about that. So as far as booking from parties, there's a ton of great information on the blog, and that's juliannejones.com, Anne with an E, and you can actually go, there's a whole topic category called bookings, and you can open that booking category and check that out, and there's a lot of really great information on booking parties. So that's first of all. I would make sure that you have a really good booking commercial, which is the time during your party when you say, let's talk about what you get when you book a party with me. And then when you're doing that, focus on everything except the free products, okay? Because I always say, unless I've been living in a cage for the last 25 years, I know I'm going to get free products if I book a party. What else am I going to get? I'm going to have fun with my friends. I'm going to get a chance to have a night out with them. I can pick a theme, and I always highlight the themes during my booking commercial. And I get to interact with you and have a great evening, and I always would say I'm going to do all the work for you as well. So find ways to highlight what they get if they book a party with you and have that booking commercial. And then, as I said earlier, I use this thing called a booking tree, and you can find a blog post on that on the website. But the booking tree is actually just a photo holder where you actually put the party date cards. And so when you're done with your booking commercial, you just say, here's all the dates I'm available. Just go ahead and choose one, and I'll give me 5 minutes before you leave, and I'll get you all set up. And you can even attach little free instant booking gifts. I would go to the dollar store and get anklets and put them on these booking cards. I'd poke a hole in the corner, and then I'd say, when you choose whatever card you choose, you get to keep the gift that's attached. People will do something if they get something for free a lot of times. So there's a couple tips for you there. Great question. Thank you. Next question, Valerie Westberg. Hi, Julianne. Would love to know a good provider for video welcomes for my new team members. I would like to send through email, not do a YouTube. Animoto seems great, but a lot of money and thoughts. Okay, so Valerie, yeah, I agree. That's a great idea. And there's a brand new product that is just launching in the U.S. At the end of this month, early next month. Actually, I'm sorry, it's in the middle of April that it's launching. And I'm going to do a blog post about it, and I'll be posting about it on the page, so watch for that. In the meantime, it's not that difficult. I actually use a video processing program called Vimeo, Vimeo. And I think it's like $50 a year for me. Now, it doesn't have the postcard capability that this new company that I'm going to be sharing has, but at least you could go and record a video and then just grab the link and post it in an email. The thing I love about this new company is they have postcards, and you can choose your background, and it's really warm and fuzzy, and it goes right into an email, and they open it and they can watch it right there in the email from the browser. So in the meantime, you might try Vimeo, you can also do a YouTube video and mark it as private, so the only person who can see it is the one who has the link. So that's also I think that's private, and then secret's a whole different thing. But yeah, you can mark it, and there's a way to do that in YouTube, so that the only person who can see it is the one who has the link to it. So that's also an option for now. And be watching, because I'm going to be sharing in the next month or so this new technology, and I'm super excited about it. Valerie Westberg. That's who I was just talking to. Christine Lindstrom. Hi, Julianne. I'd like some info on how to get leads in direct sales if you have no warm market to start with. Thanks. You know what, Christine? There is actually a blog post that I wrote called Getting Bookings When You're New in Town. That is one of the most popular posts I've ever written. And it's really it works for everyone, whether you're new in town or not. So if you don't have a warm market, how do you go outside your comfort zone and find people who you are in your warm market, but you don't even realize it? So for instance, I was brand new in town when I started my direct sales business. And I actually went to my nail tech, the gal who did my acrylic nails, because I knew she knew about at least 25 women or so, because she had a really strong practice. And I said, would you be willing to host my kickoff party for me? Because I don't know anyone. I've lived here for 5 months. And I would like, to have you do that for me. And she agreed, and we had a great party, and I ended up with getting into this great, like, cold market of people I didn't even know. I, booked a bunch of parties from her initial party. So if you think about those people, the receptionist at your pediatrician's office, the secretary at your kid's school, the bank teller that you know by name, or like I've been shopping at the same Safeway for 16 years, and I know all the, there's a couple of gals that I could certainly approach, that do that are checkers, that kind of thing. People who, your hairdresser, who and who know you but aren't necessarily close friends. And funnily enough, they're often the ones who will say yes more readily than your friends and family. I always tell the story. My only person I knew in town when we moved here was my sister-in-law, I'm not married to her brother anymore, but she made a point of calling me when I started my business to tell me that she was not booking a party and not to bother any of her friends either. And it was just like, okay, I get it. So I truly had no one. So think of the people that that are in your circle of influence that maybe you wouldn't consider close friends. And that's oftentimes a great place to start. And also, I will post the link for that getting bookings when you're new in town below the video, so you can check that out too. Tabitha, we're getting close to the end. 2 more questions here. Tabitha Williamson, how do you retain bookings? I can get bookings all day long, but keeping them is something else. I do have them create a guest list and reward them if they get the guest list of 20 plus to me 2 weeks prior to the party. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Great getting the guest list. Tweak one thing, it will make a difference. What else do you do to get bookings and have them not cancel? So host coaching is the key to everything here, okay? And so what you're going to want to make sure that you do is, yes, tell them you need the guest list and postage, that you're going to reward them with something special if they get it to you at the host coaching, which you book within about 7 days of that initial, or when they book their party. So I would always say we need to go ahead and book your host coaching appointment within about a week. So when are you available to do that? And you get that on the calendar. Great. I need you to bring your guest list and postage for me to that meeting, and then we'll be talking about your party and how to make it successful. So you have that guest list and postage from them right away. Because if you think about it, that eat that frog concept, people put off what they don't like to do. And making the guest list is one of the things that the host doesn't like to do. It's not very much fun. You got to go find the people, figure out who you want to invite, get their addresses. So if you get that done, if you have them get that done right off the bat, and they get that back to you, now you have that, and it's like an insurance policy against them canceling. Because once you have the list and postage, if they do decide a week out, I don't think I want to do this, you can say, oh my gosh, I just mailed your invitations. I'm so sorry. I probably should have checked with you first. Well, so now they have a choice. They can either call everyone and cancel or call everyone and confirm. But they got to call everyone either way because the invitations have been sent. If you don't, and most of the time people will say, okay, we'll do it since you sent the invitations. So if you don't have those invitations, if you don't have that list, you can't do that. So that's a super important piece. And I would make sure that you have some requirements, that your host understands this is exactly how it works when you host a party with me. I have a great program called Coaching Your Host for Maximum Success, and I cover the details from the minute they say yes all the way through to walking out the door after doing their party, and exactly how you work with that host to get them committed. And there's a lot of great tips in there, but mostly just make sure that you're having some expectations for her, and that she understands what she needs to do in order to be a successful host for you. Okay, and that should help with your retention. I hardly ever had cancellations because I had a really great host coaching policy. So last but not least, the Makeover Mentor with, hi, Patricia Spears. I actually know this person. I've met her in person. I have been challenged to hold an 11 party week. Wow. Most of my work is facials and double facials. My challenge is getting them to stick as a party once they're scheduled. I really want to meet this challenge. Okay, so a lot of what I just said to Tabitha, Patricia, will work really well for you. Make sure that when those people say yes, that you're coaching them, that you're setting up a time to coach them, that you're getting, I don't know if you're saying one-on-one or double facials. I'm not sure what that means. But if it's a one-on-one, that should be more simple. If you're talking about, and a lot of that's going to be follow-up on your part. So one of the things I talk about in my follow-up system in the Get Organized and Take Back Your Life program is you have to follow up as if you were, your hairdresser or your dentist. You always get a phone call from, and oh my gosh, my hairdresser, the gal who I go to there, they have a system. They text me, they email me, they call me. It's like, yeah, I get it. I know it's on my calendar, but their reminder system is stellar. So you have to be the one who's stepping up the day before and calling and reminding them to make phone calls to anybody who's coming to their party. And so it's a lot of it is host coaching. And whether you're doing 11 parties a week or one, Those principles have to be in place. And again, the host coaching program is awesome. And then the follow-up system is really important as well. Whew, that was a lot of questions. Thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for hanging in here with me watching the whole video. I'm looking forward to connecting with you out there in social media. All of my links to everywhere to find me, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, all that are below. So please, let's connect there. Love to connect with you here during Video Q&A Monday. So next Monday, head over, ask your question, and I'll be answering it in this format again. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.